I'm getting asked quite regularly, what is the role of a board during a crisis? During business as usual periods, the role of a board is all about risk, compliance, financial solvency and culture. Whereas during a crisis, I believe they need to focus much more on the leadership of the organisation. So I've identified 5 key areas that boards should focus on during a crisis. The first is oversight. While the executive team have their nose to the grindstone, the board needs to be looking to the horizon. They need to take that strategic viewpoint to understand what's happened, what's emerging, and what's new. The second is strategic risk management. Who ultimately owns risk within an organisation? It's the board. So during a crisis, the organisation needs to develop a dynamic risk management process. As the situation evolves and new facts come to life, risk needs to be constantly analysed as their shift in likelihood and consequence changes. Whilst the lion's share of this work is done by the executive, the overall ownership needs to be with the board. Number 3 is scenario planning. This is highly beneficial for any organisation during a crisis, and I speak more about this in other videos. The role of a board during this process is to focus the executive team, to identify the risks that should be scenario planned and make sure every aspect of those scenarios are drawn out. A well-considered scenario plan should produce 3 things. Number 1, it should give confidence to your staff and to your stakeholders. Number 2, it should produce some contingency plans. And number 3, it may also produce some decisions for the board to make. A well-drilled executive and board should be able to make decisions ahead of time, thus streamlining any decision-making process when a risk is realised. Number 4 is strategy setting and decision-making. In a crisis, we don't want the weight of all responsibilities to fall purely on the shoulders of the CEO. We often have to make high-level strategic decisions for the organisation, often which fall outside the mandate and decision-making authority of the executive, or outside the risk tolerance threshold as dictated by the board. The executive team needs to be able to fall back on the board to make those strategic decisions for the organisation. And the board needs to be engaged throughout the process so they can make those clear, accurate and timely decisions when required. And finally, stakeholder management. You're likely a company director because of your experience, your credibility and your connections. At times you may be the right person to reach out to stakeholders to best communicate messages, to gain information and to protect the reputation of your organisation. So I hope you found these 5 points insightful. If you're a company director and you found yourself detached from your organisation, I put it to you that perhaps you are not living up to your full responsibilities. If we can assist in any way, whether it's in any of the areas that I've spoken about, or it's just providing some framework around the decision-making of your organisation, please reach out. These are unusual, uncertain times, and it's really important to get things right.